Hi, hello, hi, it's Henry the computer guy, and welcome to our lesson number 26. And in today's lesson, we are actually going to be talking about what we call user manuals, or a user guide, or operational manual. So, if you have ever bought any ICT system or ICT tool, when it is packaged, inside that package, they always put for you a user manual. That document they put for you to guide the user how to connect to the device, to guide the user how to use the device, is what we call a user manual. So all those devices that you buy and they put for you a document, follow up, the one you're going to be using to follow up how you can connect it or how you can use it, is what we call a user manual. So they're telling us that a user guide or user's guide, also commonly known as a manual, is a technical communication document intended to give assistance to people using a particular system. So it gives you assistance on how to connect the device, assistance on how to use the device. It is what we call a user manual. And they're telling us that user manual contain all essential information for users to make full use of the information system. Anything that you need to know about the device will be included there. It includes a description of the system functions and capabilities. What is it used for? What is it capable of doing? Emergencies or incidents, and alternate modes of operation. And it will also provide you the step-by-step procedures for system access and use. How am I going to use this phone? For example, if I buy a phone, they will put for me a smaller document that is going to try to explain how I can use, let's say, this side, how I can use this item, how I can use everything in the package. For example, I got an example of an external hard disk enclosure, and that is KESU 3.0 2.0 SATA Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. It is going to be acting as our example. Remember, it is an enclosure. I have my hard disk. I want to make it as an external. So I'll buy the enclosure, then put it there. It becomes external. So I will keep on my information there, transfer my data to other computers. So they're saying that a user guide shown in figure 1.8 contains instruction on how to install, use, and troubleshoot the KESU K103 USB 2.0 3.0 SATA HDD. HDD is the hard disk drive, and it is going to be external. That means that we shall use it outside our computer. We connect it outside the computer, then we can access it from our computer. We continue. So they are telling us that we have the KESU 103, and it is going to be our SATA hard disk drive external enclosure or case. You can call it a case if you feel like, because you open it, put your hard disk inside, then cover it, it acts as an external hard disk. Are we together? So this is how it will happen, or it will look like. This is the casing that we are having, and this is the case, this is the cable, and the user manual is inside here. We continue. And they're showing us the removable or hard disk operation manual. Remember, they come in different colors. We can buy the red, we can buy the blue, the black, and the white. This is its packaging. This is the USB cable, and this is how it will look like. And our user manual is or operational manual is here. So let's refer to it. Remember, it had too much information and it couldn't fit here, so I made a link to one of the user manual that it had. And I typed it aside, so we are going to be using that user manual to explain everything or to understand everything that we need. So they are telling us that our HDD enclosure user manual, that was the heading. And they're telling us that point 1, open the package and then take out the enclosure. Check the main and accessories out correctly. That means that we are going to open our package. You take out all the components or accessories correctly. Number 2, we have to separate the upper cover by pressing the back end button from the main. Then the cover should be pushed to make parallel moving forward cover from the host. That means that we are going to be pulling the cover towards us such that we open the hard disk enclosure such that we can put in our hard disk. Don't worry, we are going to look at all the practical part of this one and we'll see what we are actually explaining. Number 3, they're telling us that we can now insert our hard disk drive to the PCB. The PCB is the printed circuit board assembly. Those terminals where we are going to be fixing our hard disk, and make sure you plug it correctly. Then start your computer, connect the mobile HDD by the use of the USB cable. After covering it, that means that we are going to get our USB cable from the package. We connect it to our computer, then we connect our cable to the external hard disk. Then after finishing with the connection, right, then you can see the computer screen, or you can check my computer to see whether the hard disk has been connected to your computer. And at times, if you're connecting the hard disk for the first time, it will ask you to format it, and they're telling you here. So if you have been actually using it, then it won't require you to format it. Then number 6, now then you can handle with mobile hard disk file for reading and writing, etc. operation. That means that at this moment we can now be able to transfer files from our computer or from our hard disk to our computer, vice versa, reading and writing. So we can be able now to transfer files between our computer and our external. Then how to remove it? They are telling you that you're not just supposed to unplug this external enclosure. You have to follow the right procedure of turning it or removing it safely. That means that you'll come to your notification button here, then come and look for where your hard disk is, then you right click it and say remove or safely remove it. Then down here they are providing us with what we call a limited warranty. But remember, we cannot talk about a user manual and we fail to talk about what we call a warranty or a guarantee. What is the difference between the two? Let's look at it a little bit. So we are looking at what we call the difference between a guarantee and a warranty. Remember, in that manual they have given us a warranty, but we have at times a warranty and a guarantee. So a guarantee is a sort of commitment made by the manufacturer to the buyer of the good. So the manufacturer will make a commitment to you. That is, for example, the guarantee covers the product, the service, the persons and the consumer satisfaction. If you're not satisfied with what they gave you, you can as well complain. It covers the person who is going to use the product and the product itself. Whereas the warranty only covers the product. And they're telling us that is an assurance given to the buyer by the manufacturer of the goods, but it only covers the product. So whenever they give you one of those two, you have to know what do they mean. Guarantee can cover multiple items, whereas the warranty covers only the product. Are we at par? So now we can continue because we have understood what is the difference between the guarantee and a warranty. And in our document here, or user manual, they gave us what we call a warranty. So they're telling us that warranty is to cover the operating defaults after the purchase during the warranty period. So if they give you 12 months or 3 months, they are supposed to be, or they are entitled to those defaults in only those months. If they elapse or if they end, they are not accountable for that. And in this they told us in 12 months after the purchase. That means that after 12 months, you're not supposed to complain. So they're telling us that please notify us about the defaults for the repair with a sort of description of the defaults, confirming the information of a person in charge. So that means that they gave you a table down here where you're supposed to rate your complaints. You're the customer, you put your name, your telephone number, and you can also add another number. The shop where you bought it, the name and the telephone, and you can also add a number. Then you can also put the date, the month, and the year when you bought that item. But they're telling us down here, the danger or the defaults prescribed below are not to be covered by the warranty. That means that if any of these ones below happen to your product, they will not be accountable for that. So they're telling you that users' faults by lack of care. If you handle this external enclosure carelessly and it breaks, they are not accountable for that. They will not pay. Then number 2, unauthorized electric current connection defaults. If you connect it poorly and it gets destroyed, they are not accountable for that. Then, faults by the user's owner's intention of dismantle or repairs. Let's say if you're actually repairing it by yourself, then you actually destroyed it, or you are connecting it and actually destroyed it in one way or the other, they are not accountable for that. And lastly, the damages caused by the natural disaster. Let's say you bought it, then all of a sudden rain came, it got destroyed. Floods came, it got destroyed. Earthquake came and it got destroyed. They are not accountable for that. So actually this is the little we had in this user manual. These are the things they actually gave us in our user manual. We have read them and we are going to see practically what they meant. Let's close this. So we come back to our package. We have our package, we have got our enclosure, the user manual, we have seen what is already inside there. Then we have our USB cable we shall use to connect to our computer. Let's continue. And this is how our operation is going to be. This is before opening it, our package. It will be like this in this format, or it was in this format. Then after opening it, we saw that we had our enclosure, then we had our USB, then the user manual is also inside there. So we are going to see actually how to connect or to open it and cover it, then to put it to use, following the other user manual we had read. Now, remember in the beginning, they told us that we are actually supposed to open it. So we have opened it now. Then we come to what we call the second step. They told us that we are going to be opening the cover. And someone came here and opened the cover, pulling the cover towards him or herself to open the cover of the of the enclosure, hard disk enclosure. Then number 3 told us that we have to get our external hard disk and insert it there. But remember, you look for what we call the PCB, the printed circuit board assembly, and connect it correctly. After connecting it correctly, I think that is the major thing. Then you have to put the cover back. Put your cover back and connect. After putting the cover back, you cover it. Then you get your USB cable, power on your computer, and actually connect your external hard disk to your computer using the USB cable they provided you with. So before we continue with any other thing, let's first look at how we can connect it to the computer. Remember, they told us the way we can actually remove it safely. So now we are going to minimize this work and we connect our external hard disk. Remember, I already bought it and I have it with me. We are going to see how we can connect it and see whether it can be read. Let's minimize our work. So this is actually our screen that we are having onto our computer. And remember, I have the external disk outside the computer. So I'm going to get my USB. I will connect it to my computer. But before you connect it, because for you to be able to access that item that you have connected to your computer, you come to my computer and right click and say open. So when we connect any component or device onto our computer, it has to appear in this format, or it has to appear on the list here. So we are going to get our external and connect it to our computer. So you have to give it time and see whether it will connect. Finally, it has connected. When you come to here, it is going to show us we have our local disk G. And if you're connecting it for the first time, it will either ask you to format it. But I've already been using it, so I'm not going to format it. So you can now start to put your information there or remove the information which is there. Let's right click and open it and see. Open. So when I open it, it has some songs here. I can come and remove any of the songs that I want. I can right click and say copy. Then I can come to my desktop. I right click and say paste. Then the song has been transferred to my desktop. Or I can get any information from my desktop. Let's say I get my picture or photo. I right click and say copy. I come and paste it onto my external. That is it. So after using it, so we can even open and see what it shows us. That is it. It shows us the information. So after using it, you're not just supposed to unplug that component. You're not just supposed to unplug it. So what you're supposed to do, to come and remove it safely. Come down here on your notification, look for your external, then it tells you that to safely remove hardware and eject the media. So right click and say eject. So it tells us that safely remove, and we can again check and see whether it is still there. We open, so it has actually been removed. So that is actually about the user manual. And we have already seen these ones. So that is actually we have been talking about as the user manual. So here, before we wind up with our lesson, we have an activity which is 1.9, and it is all about ICT user manual. And they're telling us that using a user manual from any new ICT device or one provided by your teacher. That means that you can be having a device at home, they have bought it when it is new, go and get that user manual from that package. Or one which has been provided to you by your teacher. That means that part A, identify the ICT for which the user manual is made. For example, you get to the package, you get it and read through, you will know the device for which it is supposed to be for. Then, number 2, summarize contents of the user manual in your number or your A above, including the safety precautions therein. How are we supposed to handle that component? Those are some of the safety precautions. We are going to be looking at the safety precautions in the next chapter. Then we continue and we have an activity of integration. They are telling us that ICTs are currently being employed in almost all fields in this modern era. Some of these fields are education, banking, and security. In the area of education, it is possible for a teacher in London to virtually conduct a lesson in a school in Uganda. Remember, we talked about some applications, we talked about Zoom, whereby you can attend a class. When you're in Uganda, someone is in another country. So that is what they are trying to talk about here. And they gave you a task that explain how the lesson above can be conducted by the teacher with ICTs. What do we need? We need a computer, we need some applications there, for example, Zoom, and others as you're going to be looking for them. Then part B, explain the precautions that should be exercised when using the ICT tools in A above. So this is your own research. You're going to help me find all about this. So it's been Henry the Computer Guy, and we have been talking about a user manual or user guides. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. I sign out.